You know, Nintendo of America and Europe for a short time were very open about what kind of games they would allow on their system. However, a few years ago something changed. Whether due to internal ideology or due to outside pressures, Nintendo started cracking down on what games would be allowed on their system. They never retroactively pulled games that were already up, but started rejecting games, even ones that had already been announced. And that's what this video is all about. Games that Nintendo rejected from sale in the West. However, Nintendo in Japan and Asia haven't been so full on when it comes to this kind of policy, and so all the games talked about here do have an option elsewhere, maybe not on your US eShop or in your European game store, but you can potentially purchase them from different region eShops and even physically too via importing. This is not a definitive list, there's probably quite a few I have missed. Few companies would be brave enough to admit this sort of thing. This video is just a sample, but I will be sure to make a future video if you guys let me know anything that I've missed or anything that crops up in the future. And I want to stress, all the games included are via my guesswork. Not many companies are daft enough to spout off about Nintendo rejecting their games. That would be incredibly stupid, except a couple of them which were publicly announced, which they kinda had to since they already started taking pre-orders for them. Anyways, that is enough preamble. Let's take a look at games Nintendo in the West don't want you to play. Doom Sweeper. This is kind of a fun game, and it's one that was banned for reasons, well, I didn't understand at the time, even after playing it on Nintendo Switch via the Asian version. Alright, it is a bit gory and a little bit cheeky here and there. I assumed it was because of something egregious later in the game, where I hadn't got yet, but apparently I couldn't see the woods for the trees. Or maybe that should be the other way around. I couldn't see the tree for the woods. I was too busy trying to demolish the hordes that I didn't really pay much attention to the monster designs, which I'm not going to say it, but just take a look. I tell you what though, as a simple tower defense game, it is super addictive. It doesn't look like much, but I was having a jolly good time with it. Menhera Farm and Maserati Town Story is a curious case. This is a double pack with each game having their own issues when it comes to Western digital releases. If you watch my delisted video games video, you may remember that Maserati Town Story was only on Western eShops for a few months before being yanked off for unknown reasons. However, the other game, Menhera Farm, was outright rejected. This is a doll raising simulator, a bit like a princess maker sort of thing, where there are dark undertones. I mean, depending on how you raise the doll, there may be themes of That's why it was banned. I remember when I helped reveal the Southeast Asian physical release of this, and people were automatically putting their heads in the gutter about why it was banned, but no, that was their brain automatically going to the wrong place. It's because of the potential. DeathEnd Request Code Z is a prime example of how Nintendo's policies have changed. Despite the first two games in the series being available physically on Nintendo Switch in the West, this spin-off, which came later, was rejected. And yet it was allowed on PlayStation 5. Instead of being a normal JRPG, this is more of a dungeon crawler, almost a mystery dungeon style game as you inch your way through the dungeons one step at a time and getting into turn-based combat with monsters. Death is a key component of this game, and you actually become stronger if you die, and each monster has its own unique death scene to let you watch if you perish to them. It's sort of inviting and rewarding you for, well, kind of ending yourself, so that's probably why it was banned. As I said though, there are physical imports of all the games featured in this video, but a word of warning, it is a minefield. Some digital listings and physical releases won't have English, whereas others do. All of the games mentioned here do have an English language physical release somewhere. And if you check those links down below in the description and pinned comment, I have linked to those specific ones, so you are directed to the ones with English and no mistakes can be made. Don't buy the one that doesn't have English, what a waste that would be. If you want to purchase anything via my link, thank you ever so much. That helps support me and this channel in the best way possible. If you purchase from VGP, you get free worldwide shipping on orders over 75 Canadian bucks, that's 55 American dollars. Or Play Asia, where if you click my link, you can get 5% off with my code Jordan2026. I am one of the few with a discount code still, and remember, you have to click my link first. And no, Nintendo won't really hunt you down if you play these on your Switch. They are secretly happy you've contributed to their bank account in a roundabout sort of way. Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth 1, 2, and 3, I'm grouping these together. This was one of the more public humiliations since there were already plans fully announced to release these in the West. However, the Western publisher had to sheepishly backtrack once Nintendo announced their new policies. At least to developers. Thankfully, in Southeast Asia, coming to the rescue, there are physical releases over there with English. All 3 games eventually made it out thanks to that region with more relaxed attitudes. I'm not really a fan of this series for various reasons that I could make a whole video about, but they are popular with a certain crowd. Remakes of the first 3 JRPGs in the series that most consider to be where the series was best before it got, well, out of control. Hyperdevotion Noire Goddess Blackheart is a spin-off of the Hyperdimension Neptunia series, and although the story is still as guff as the main series, at least the gameplay allows me to actually rather enjoy this one. It is a pretty well-made tactical RPG, lots of attention to detail was put into the enemy placement, the environment, and stage gimmicks that make it a far more engaging time than many other games that try this genre. It also looks pretty nice and crisp and offers something I'm happy to sink time into. If you're looking for a far more light-hearted Fire Emblem type of game, then you may want to import the English physical from Southeast Asia. Corpse Party Tetralogy, boy, this one has had a rough ride. The Western release was cancelled, then announced, and then cancelled again, with the final nail in the coffin being Nintendo's policies. They even admitted that publicly. The thing is, this contains 4 games. 2 of them are already available digitally in the West, but at the time of the announcement of this physical, the other 2 were not. Obviously they had plans to do it, but not before Nintendo stepped in. Of course, this is 4 horror games in one, with teenagers being part of the narrative where bad things can happen to them. I'm guessing that's why it was rejected. The physical release in Japan was not affected by this, and the physical contains English language for all 4 games included. You get different kinds of horror, some RPG-like, but then there's like an adventure game and then a pure visual novel, a variety of horror for sure. Before I get any further, if you are new here and you love physical video games, you like owning the thing you pay money for, then do yourself a favor and hit that subscribe button. It will be the best thing you do today. Not only do I have feature videos like these, but I have opinion pieces. I give alerts on rare game reprints, physical discounts, and new announcements. Everything a physical collector needs. So subscribe, okay? Merry Bunny Garden is the spin-off to Bunny Garden. While Bunny Garden managed to get on the Western eShop, Merry Bunny Garden was a step too far, at least I'm assuming so. This is where you escort drunken bar girls home after a night of entertaining the patrons. No doubt thanks to the drunken twister you can play in the main game, causing injury by falling into manholes, picking up knickers, causing chaos, and getting in rather revealing positions, even if slightly censored on consoles. I mean, take your pick as to why Nintendo wouldn't want this on their system. Maybe someone at Nintendo thinks women shouldn't drink. Tokyo Clanpool, this was one of the early victims to Nintendo's policy changes, and even then it had to be pared back a little to be allowed in Japan and Asian stores as well. One of the minigames was taken out, which annoyed a lot of people who assumed it would be uncensored on Switch, but no, it's not 100%. It is a dungeon crawling RPG, a bit like Xtreme Odyssey, just slightly more saucy, a little bit, not that much. It's not going to win any awards because there are so many games like this out there, but if you want one with a slight controversy about it, that makes you feel like you're living on the edge, well, you may want to import from Southeast Asia. Death Match Love Comedy was a bit of an error in my delisted video. I said it was pulled from the eShop unceremoniously not long after release, but I made a mistake there. It never appeared on the eShop at all, thanks to all those who commented about it. And this is despite it getting a physical release in Europe. As to why this happened, this is a total mystery to me. If it slipped through the net to get a physical in Europe, how did it also not get a digital release? I don't know. Answers on a postcard, please. Anyways, this is a visual novel that took a fair while to get an official English translation, and it is a VN that is linked to the very well-regarded Raging Loop. Lover Kiss Endless Memories. This one I can't say for certain if it's definitely up to Nintendo. I feel with this one it could just be that the Japanese publisher couldn't be asked to try Western audiences, but then again, why translate it to English if you're not going to go for it? Because English is there. What harm could it be to just stick it on Western eShops? Well, again, this is probably down to the young appearance of the characters in this and the fact that it is a photography game. I mean, I've not played it myself, but from the outside it appears to be just a sweet high school romance sort of dating sim with a photography twist, but you can imagine someone at Nintendo being a bit nervous about it. Interestingly enough, not only is it a Nintendo Switch game, but also a Nintendo Switch 2 game, a physical for each console. Dead or Alive, Xtreme 3 Scarlet. This one, I'm not sure if Nintendo rejected it or Koei Tecmo, their Western branch, rejected it first. A bit of self-censorship maybe, not wanting a backlash for, well, objectifying women. But whatever the reason was, this was never made available digitally in the West, despite having it translated to English already in Japan and Asia. This is a minigame compilation mixed with a dating and photography sim, and as you may expect, it is quite a popular import. It's always been extremely pricey, but people have wanted to get their hands upon it. And there we have some games that Nintendo of the West don't want you playing. They rejected them from their stores, at least that's what I'm guessing with my instinct and, rumors circulating around. Which one are you the most angry about? Which ones did you manage to pick up physically, and which ones are you planning to do so in the future? If you want to grab any of them, please do so with the links down below in the description and pinned comment. Not only do you support me in the best way possible, but at least I'm guiding you to the correct one, okay? If you buy a physical that only has Japanese, that would be a mistake, right? Don't waste your money. You can trust me with my link.